Tea Time Season 2, where we will be spilling the tea on opening week of games. Today we'll be breaking down our analyst power rankings, taking a look at predictions, and looking at the schedule for our upcoming week of games. But first, let's introduce our analysts. Joining us today, we have Adam, Digital Feeling,
Good to be on again.
Brian Decadonu,
What's up? I'm back. No haircut. Not once in
myself, Daniel Dans,
Hello, Statmaster here.
Matt Akey,
Hi, Eki, Aoki. Yeah,
Alki,
Matt. Good to be here.
and Stephen Kirasaki Ace.
Hey, last time I was here, I was a guest, and now I'm an analyst, so I made it.
You got promoted just like in real life. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, thank you.
How's everybody doing? Everybody excited to start season 7?
Oh,
Oh,
hell
yeah.
yeah.
I'm ready for tonight's game.
Yeah, we're going to roll right into it. So we're going to start tonight's show with power rankings. All of the analysts did power rankings for this split. We did not vote for our own teams, so these are minus whoever we voted for or for whoever we play for. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to start breaking it down. And first up, we're going to start at the bottom. So we're going to start with the student council. Matt, what do you think about this team?
So, in my own personal power ranking, I actually rated them as top 3 teams. And the reason being is that I feel like Nick Mead and Plo the Warrior can work pretty well together. Plo is pretty good at generating his own leads, and Nick Mead likes to take over games once it starts getting to the latter half. So, I think they can work in tandem here to really put on some carry games, like, tag team carry games.
Nice. Anybody disagree with that?
I disagree with that. So,
All right.
most notably, I think TSC is gonna have a bit of a struggle with who they're putting in resources, particularly given that they're going to be stretched across the map, and if they can have their jungler, where's TSC?
Pope
Pope Panda, yeah.
Who will be back, by the way?
Hooray!
He's
Yay.
feeling better, but not for week
Yay.
one.
Nice.
2 and onwards, hopefully he'll be back.
But the struggle will be if where does the mid jungle duo go? Do they go top or bot? And that might cause some strife in their team.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And just for everybody to know, so Dan's had TSC in last place. They are the 9th ranked power team for him. And Matt had them 3rd, just so we can keep everybody up to breast of where we voted for them. Anybody else have anything to say about TSC before we move on?
I don't know. They might surprise people when Pope Panda comes back. I think week 1 will be a little rough since they won't have him. And they won't,
Mhm.
It'll be kind of like a lost week. They won't be able to like generate the synergy they might, want
Mhm.
to. But hopefully, after that they can start building something, and I think they can rise in our power rankings once they get all the pieces together.
Yeah, I from my perspective, I don't think they're a bad team. I know we're facing them in the first week, and we're definitely not taking them lightly. Just on paper, it looks like a solid team, so I'm excited to face them, even without Poe Panda. So next up is Nutter Butter Scudlers. Brian, I believe you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I think MBS is like when I look at the list, I think they're actually like the most underrated team. They have like pretty good pieces. Like we've heard a lot of good things about. I don't even know how to say his name, Matthew Boxbox XD or whatever the fuck. I think like he can really shore up
Demonetized.
their bot lane, yeah, and make plays around the map. Mayan, is tried and true. Had a really good season on AR. I think he'll have another good season on BS. So I think they'll be a pretty good team. I do think they have a couple of holes. I do think they have some question marks going late. Just like with getting damage out. But I think it's stuff that it's surmountable, and I think they can find ways to fix it going. Um, yeah, in the long run.
And you had them ranked 6th, right?
So a little bit, 3 spots higher than this at least?
3 spots higher. Yeah, and it's a little bit weird because like we said, we only voted for 9 teams each.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, you had them 6 out of 9 for
Yeah,
yours.
for what it's worth, NBS actually had the lowest variance in votes.
Yeah,
They're all like pretty clustered around like the 6 area. It just
yeah.
seems that with the larger variance of some of the other ones, like some people just pulled above it, so it ended up being ninth in the total power ranking. But that's not super indicative of how people voted either. Like nobody put them as like the worst team or anything like that either.
Yeah, they the lowest vote they got, they have one eighth place vote, they have one fifth place vote, and then everything else is sixth and seventh. So it feels pretty consistent on where like that's where people pocket them is the 5, 6, 7 spot.
For sure.
Cool. Adam, you how do you feel about MBS?
So there's been a huge improvement with Fire Knight since last season. So I'm really excited for that. Mayan, the like biggest like shout out people in last season as well. Don't know much about Matthew, but I have played with Nishant as well. Super excited. I haven't seen them play together. I think I'm gonna be a little worried about their synergy, but if they can kind of just get it together, I'm really excited to see this very new combination of people who I don't think have played with each other.
Okay. Anybody else got any final thoughts on MBS before we move on?
Yeah, I have actually played against Matthew, and guy's good, really
Leaks.
really good, and he should be really fun to watch.
A ringing endorsement. All right. Next up is executive order, and I'm going to throw to myself. We have them ranked 7th in our power rankings. I personally have them last. So I'm gonna talk about it myself. As much as I love Captain Javier and think that he can do amazing things in the mid lane, I need to see more of this team because I haven't really played with or against, I don't believe, Cincy or Sherry. And although Sopa did really well in the last season of BTL, I need to see another split of it because I believe the split before was a little rough. So for me personally, like that's I need to see. I don't think this team I think this team has a really high variance, and I think they could finish like top, like near the top. But I also want to see it before it happens, before I like move my power ranking. Matt, what do you think?
So I actually had EXO as number 5 on my power ranking list, and the reason being is that since he didn't play last season, but he played the season before, and the dude just tore it up. He was totally nuts, and I think if they can develop some team synergy, Oryx is really solid top laner. Sopa learned a lot from playing on our team last season. They can form a really solid foundation to play through him, and he can put on some insane carry games and really take them to the top.
Okay, and you had them ranked 5th, right?
Yes.
All right. Dan, you have them ranked one spot higher than that. You have them ranked 4th.
Yeah, so particularly I've been playing a lot with Aurox this off season, and the guy is looking really scary. He's looking to bring back what he did in playoffs, and destroy anybody who tries to gank him.
Okay. Nice. Anybody else got anything? All right. Moving on. Our next up is Good Boys. We have them ranked 6th on our list. Adam?
Okay, so I actually super value this team. I think the Good Boys are going to like hit levels that I just really appreciate. Steven being in the top is always beautiful to see. Meaty Oats, Charlie. I play with him. He gets bloodthirsty, and I love it. Q's his which is Shu in the mid lane is wonderful at like just kind of being a little more consistent or like the little mechanical plays that I've been enjoying. Alki is always wonderful, and then we got Angela who is like has played with Alki a lot. So I'm hoping that synergy just really bumps them up to like no ends. I have super high hopes for the Good Boys. Good luck, guys. I'm cheering for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. This
Thank
is
you,
another
Adam.
one where we have some pretty high variance. We have one of our analysts who's not here tonight put them first. We have another analyst who is here tonight who shall remain nameless. It's me, who put them 3rd. And then we have Dan's who put them
Yeah.
9th.
How dare
Uh,
you?
I mean, it's a little bit of bias that we're going right
Wow.
against you guys first off the week. But Charlie's been on a break. C9 Miniotes has taken an extended break, and I don't know if he's come back to form. If this team is in form, I would definitely rank them higher.
Mhm.
Um, particularly with the 3 person core with QE, Alki, and Asian Problems. Those 3 play together all the time. Matt can attest to that.
We got the power
Um,
of friendship and anime.
okay, that's fair. But once their jungler comes into form, I think I can see them moving up the standings very easily.
Okay. Steven, you want to defend your team from
Man, I
his
just can't
ninth place
believe
ranking?
I just can't believe we have 2 analysts from this team on this desk or on this show, and Dan has the audacity to put us 9th.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
dare you?
at least Mina put them ninth and didn't show up. So
Oh, well, that hurt.
all right. Next up, we have Acid Rabbits, who were placed 5th on our list. Matt, what do you got?
So actually, I actually put Asteroids as the top team of my
You
power
did.
ranking. Yes, I did. And reason being is very similar to TSC, but there's stronger evidence. So Jack Limestone last season, he was really played insanely well. Although he would play a little too aggressive at times. And with having Jenny on their team, I feel like she's able to give a lot of shot calling in these fights to just ring them in a bit. That way they can make more control plays and really win here. Jesse too likes to play tanks, so I feel like along with Jenny's own Chample, so I feel like they can really frontline for him and win almost any game. Of course, when it all comes together, I'm not too sure about week 1, but I'm like seeing big picture here. I have high hopes for them.
You
All
know,
right.
just like on our team, Matt and I disagree once again. I put AR dead last. I think there's a lot of potential on this team. I just don't know enough about Tactical Gazelle. I know he has a few pocket picks, but I wonder how well he can support Jack Limestone, who seems to be the main carry on the team. Without further info, but the thing is, you shouldn't bet against Ginny. I've lost to Ginny almost every time in BTL, so we'll see what happens. Prove me wrong.
I mean, Ginny does have the most BTL titles to the name, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
A quick on tactical. I play with him, and he plays like he's been my support for the last couple of scrims and in houses. He is like mid to top in supports, in my opinion. So your assessment like blows my mind there.
Oh, I just don't
You
know
heard it
enough
here
about him.
first. Yeah, you heard it here
So
first. Adam's
this-
been playing with TL Tactical. He thinks he's one of the best supports in the league.
So we've heard from Matt, who has AR top. We've heard from Steven, who has AR ninth. Daniel, you have them 5th, so we might as well just split the difference. Why do you
I
have them
mean,
5th?
I mean, people are gonna try and exploit Jesse, I think. And he showed a lot of improvements 2 seasons ago where he simply just got away with so many dives on him in top lane. And
Mm-hmm.
I put them in 5th out of respect for the Ginny factor. Ginny is probably gonna marshal her troops in and make them actually a contender.
All right, I'll defend Jesse for a moment here, since he was on my team that year. We finished 2nd, only losing in Game 3 of the finals. Jesse was a solid top laner for us. He played tank duty really well, played weak side really well. And once we figured out that he could play weak side, we went to town and we had a great season. So I fully expect him to be able to hold it down and do well there.
I just want to put one more thing in before we move to the next team.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Jesse play League of Legends in a while, but he does improve quite fast, does play weak side very well, but I wonder how well he can do against the other top laners in the league, because there's quite a few really strong ones.
Agreed.
That's a good point. All right. Next up is Second Breakfast. Second Breakfast was ranked 5th on our list out of the 10 teams, so dead in the middle. Brian, where do you have them? You have Second Breakfast. You have them 5th. So why do you think
Yeah,
they're
put him at
the
5th.
5th place team?
So of all of our voters, Second Breakfast, if you don't count MBB, which we'll get to later, has the highest variance. MBB has a small sample size, but Second Breakfast has a larger one. It has the highest variance. People are putting them all over the board. Of like the 9 voters, 3 of them put them at 2nd. one voter put it at 9th out of 9. There's a really big gulf here in like the expectations for SB, and I'm along the lines of putting them smack dab in the middle. I think that
Mm.
they don't really have very many holes compared to the other teams. I think everybody in their roster is anywhere from like good to great. I think like um, yeah, like Dan is gonna be fine in the bot lane, of course. I think the La Shyvana, so I've heard, shows a lot of promise. Like I think that they have cogs everywhere, but I also think they're lacking like an X factor slash like a carry in the late game. I feel like unless you can macro like Will around on the top side and just like make sure he's on the correct waves and allocate him correctly all over the place and do this consistently game after game. I don't know if I see SB being like a top contender, but on the other hand, I don't think any teams can really like crack them open, um, or at least not with any sort of consistency. So I think they also won't be a bottom team. I think they'll be kind of like smack dab in the middle of the season. I think what makes them able to be contenders when we get to it 9 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now is like one, can the last Shyvana be the carry they need, that X factor they need? And then two, can they make sure like they have a lot of strategies in their repertoire, including like Will being allocated all over the map, stuff like that.
So when I look at this team, because I am one of the three that has them second, along with Steven and Matt, actually. So all three of us are here. But the reason why I put them second is I the dance factor. Honestly, I have a lot of faith in dance.
Oh god, no pressure.
I do. I've got a lot of faith in Dan's. I think he's with a good AD carry in the La Shyvana, who I think that bot lane is going to help carry that team. And then Will, I think, is the other X factor here, is that if Will is playing the way that we know that he can split push you to death. And as long as you have enough damage coming from Adam and Dance to protect him with the rest of the team, I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of teams because, as we know, split pushing is pretty difficult to deal with unless you're really well coordinated.
Yeah, I guess my counter is that like split pushing in the early seasons of BTL was pretty like effective. A lot of people didn't really know how to deal with it fully. But as the league has grown, I think teams have gotten not only more coordinated, but just a lot more aggressive. Like teams are looking to identify when people are out and either collapse like really heavily on them or collapse on the greater team. I guess the 4-man core, the 3-man core that's sitting in mid, that kind of stuff. Um, so I don't think split pushing is out of the question. I just think that like if you look back at the I don't know, X amount of seasons in the past. Let's say last season, THG and AR in the finals. Neither of these teams really had like a split pushing threat. They didn't play
Yeah.
around it whatsoever. Same for like the season before with y'all, the good boys versus Panino and
MVP.
Divino. Neither team played like a split push. That is mostly like weak side or like team fighting and stuff like that. And I think that kind of goes back like a long way. And I don't know if SB is the team to really like buck that trend.
Okay. Anybody else got any defensive second breakfast here?
I mean, I personally think SB has the best bot lane in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of their bot lane. I don't know. That's why I put them up on I think a second on my list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have
We'll
him
see.
second.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Lashavani, he's a friend of mine. He's pretty good, but I think that's probably gonna be like the X factor there. If not, then Barry Allen. That's my homie from last season. He's really good. So I think if it doesn't come to Adam playing that well, then there could be synergy between Dan and Barry since Barry also plays support, so they can work together and really tear up the map.
True.
All right. I like it. All right, next up is Panic in Our Oceans. Panic in Our Oceans ranked 4th overall for us. Steven, where you got him?
I only
Steven,
have
you
2
got Panic.
words.
Yeah.
And my 2 words is Brian Diff. Okay.
Thought
Hey.
so.
Yeah.
I put PIO on 4th. You know, even if they are the weakest team right now, by next week they're not going to be. They're going to be pretty scary in a few weeks. You know what I mean? Every team Brian has been on has always improved. I think Brian is the best drafter in the league. So if we don't lose, if the game's going pretty even, you're going to lose from team comp because Brian's going to outdraft you. So.
All right, Daniel.
That's
what
a
you
fair
got?
assessment. I kept going back and forth with this team.
Mm-hmm.
I've played with every single one of them and won a championship with one specific player there. And honestly, I think this team has a lot of potential. And if their growing pains are minor, I can see them easily top 2. But to start the season, everybody's getting used to their team still. And I think that's going to bring them down a little bit. And we'll see if how many mistakes they get punished for.
Yeah, and you had them 6th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too much variance here with this one. The lowest ranking that they have is 6th place. The highest ranking that they have is 2nd. So they're pretty much in the middle there. They're I think that has to do with the Brian factor. I think we all have a lot of faith in Brian to make sure that they're not, like, even if they stumble into playoffs, like I think in a best of 3 scenario, Brian's going to bring them up. So I think there's a lot of faith there, which is why we have them at least in the middle right now. But I don't think it would shock anybody if they're up at the top towards the end of the season.
Yeah, as the Brian factor, I feel like whoever rated us like 2nd is probably really like high off their mind right now. Actually, it's Mayo, so yeah, he is.
Yeah, it is Mayo.
But I don't think we're anywhere close to that right now. But on the
Right.
other hand, I think like you guys said, we have a ton of potential. Like we have a lot of players that are like unpolished, I guess, and like I haven't played since like fucking November, so it's a road back for me too. But I think yeah, like you said, by the end of it, like we're hoping to be like a top 2 whatever team. At the start though, I think we're pretty squarely like middle of the pack. So
All right. All right, next up on our list, coming in 3rd place is Deep Dive. Deep Dive has a variance. Their highest ranking is 2nd, with 2 people voting them in 2nd, and then we also have 2 people that have voted them 8th. So we got some pretty high variance there. Brian, you're one of the people that has voted them 2nd. What do you think about this team?
yeah, I think Deep Dive. I've heard the scrim rumors and stuff like that, but I think they're pretty cracked actually. I think like um we've talked about this in the past, and I think Steven and I have talked about this, but I think jungle mid like synergy in general and jungle mid like control of the map is like ridiculously important in competitive games. And that goes for BTL as well. Like some of the teams that were better at it last season, like AR and THD, met in the finals. I think Deep Dive. I don't know much about Blazon. I've heard lots of rumors about, I don't know, player coach God King D Drew or whatever. And I think I have faith in them to put together a really strong core that can bridge the gap between the early game, mid game, and then into the late game, and just kind of macro the crap out of people. I put them 2nd, and I struggle to put them. I think 2nd might be a stretch too. The top 3 for me were really close. Well, kind of the top 2, 3 were close. Top 1, I thought about it more. I'm like, nah, that's probably the top 1. But I struggle to put them a little bit higher because I think that they need to prove that they have like the firepower going late, and the firepower to kind of like, make sure that the ship, like whatever ship that Drew and Co have built up to 30 minutes, that ship doesn't have holes in the bottom of it and keeps sailing all the way to harbor. I don't think that's necessarily been proven yet, but if they can figure that out, I think that's a top flight team for sure.
Yeah.
The whole season through.
Adam, you got thoughts?
I am pretty much gonna like sentiment as well. Like I'm just super excited to see what Drew is gonna do the jungle, and I'm super excited for Wired, of course. Like Wired is a ridiculously good player, in my opinion. So is Glenn. Those 2 are just gonna be it. You have to have 2 eyes split on the screen to be able to see like what's going on with them. That I'm hoping they just really pull apart the map. And gives Panic Puma a little bit of space because I think Panic Puma is probably one of the weaker bot lanes. But if Wired and can support that and 2 hands can kind of pull away, I think there's a really good potential for him to get going. And he was doing really well towards the end of last season or the last time I saw him play. So like here's hoping for big improvements this season.
Okay. That's a little boring that you guys are agreeing. It's good that you guys are agreeing, but it's a little boring. So, Matt, you have them ranked 9th.
Yes.
Or 8th. I'm sorry, you have them ranked 8th.
I actually do. And This is just like off of looking at it. I think that there is some value out of having like a stronger top side, but then again, there is the mid jungle duo. I don't know too much about deep dive, so it can easily go either way. When I was coming up with this list, I was just thinking, okay, week 1 rather than expecting week 9 and such.
Mhm.
So I made my power ranking based off of that. Obviously, room to grow from there, but I was just being a bit conservative with my pick since I don't know too much other than Wired, the meme god himself.
All right.
The meme god himself.
All right.
Yeah.
Next up, we have MBB, Milwaukee Bucks, baby.
Milwaukee
coming in
Bucks, baby.
second.
Milwaukee Bucks
Coming in
PB.
second on the power rankings for us. We have one person that has them first. We have one person that has them ninth. We have a bunch of people in the middle.
Excuse me?
Steven.
One person
All right.
single-handedly brought this from the lowest variance, easiest pick to the highest variance pick.
So we'll be
Steven.
talking about that one.
You have you have them ranked first. What's up?
Man, there are so many playmakers on this team that like, Colin, you're on this team, but
I am on this team. That's
I
true.
think
That
what's
should
gonna
bring it down
happen
a few
is
notches.
yeah, but this is the thing. I think you have a hard time sometimes getting leads on your own. But with this lineup, with Elena, with Adam, with Cheese Nice Caribou, with them just like we're playing together, making all these plays together, feeding you kills, giving you gold, like if your ADC can four shot someone, it's pretty over, right? And that's how you get there. You get all these playmakers working together, making crazy plays. I just wanted to point out last time I played against them, a similar lineup, crazy playmakers everywhere. I thought it was very difficult to play against them because against most teams, I notice the mistakes that my team makes against the teams. But against this team specifically, I'm always like, well, we just got outplayed here. What can we do? So,
Bold of you to assume that Adam is going to give Colin kills.
all right, you're right. Hey, but who knows? Last season, Brian made Adam give the mid laner all the rapture camps and all the gold from the jungle. So
I gave
maybe
him all
it'll
the kills.
translate
There's
here.
the trade.
Yeah, maybe it'll translate here.
All right. So to the person that put MBB ninth, Matt, why you hating?
Not hating. Like I said, same thing for a deep dive reason. When I was thinking about this power list, I was thinking, okay, day one was this. What are these teams going to do?
Mhm.
With a bit of looking forward, and I actually just don't see like I see playmaking, but I don't see like who's gonna win you the game, who's gonna be your hard carry threat here, and that's probably just gonna develop over time. But at the moment, I just feel like yes, you'll have plays being made, but then where's the damage gonna be coming from? And because I do see that this team might have some drafting issues in terms of just banning people who have shallower champ pools. So that's where I'm a little hesitant about this team. Like for the first few weeks, definitely something that can get improved on and worked with. But that led to my decision for the most part.
Bro, have you not seen what happens when Mayo has kills? He just kills everything.
But I've also seen Mayo when you ban Renekton and Wukong.
Hey man, he can play. He can play, Kled or something.
I love you, Mayo. By the way, all love, buddy. All love, buddy.
Look, dude, that's my rival you're talking about. All right, stop talking him down.
PJ was your rival, bro.
Man, PJ is my rival too. I have too many rivals. Everyone hates me.
Hey, I solo killed you earlier today, so we don't need to talk
Yeah,
about the rest
and
of
I
the
made
game.
you go 1-10, bro. What are you bringing up?
We don't need to talk about the rest of the game. Just remember that I solo killed you.
Dude, Steven's like the low key like anti-hero of this story. Like everyone's like wants to like really just mess him up in lane.
I mean, that's definitely why I went for the solo kill for sure. Definitely wasn't concerned about winning the game. All right, our first place team, pretty unanimously, honestly, with 7 of 10 first place votes. All right, 6 of 8, 6 of 9, something like that. The high percentage is True Heart Destiny. True Heart Destiny. Daniel, why don't you take it away? Why are they the best team in the league?
I mean, they're the defending champions, and Man Butts Ben is gonna make sure that that stays the same. On top of that, they've got what has been considered the best jungler in the league for several years now, on Bear Rock, Misa. A little bit of bias as the brother.
Any relation? Yeah.
um, I think this team is looking really, really, really strong. I think basically people are like, but Nikolai's there, Yves Saint Sultan, and basically what's going to happen is Misa's going to clean up anything that goes down mid lane and then
Mhm.
take that lead elsewhere.
Okay. We do really quickly before I throw it to Brian. We do actually have a question from Twitch chat from Nikolai, and the question is, how can THD possibly be first with the worst mid in the league? Uh, so, Dance, how are they first?
Simple, man, butts.
Got it. Man butts. Understood. Brian, you got a counter
Yeah.
to him?
Yeah, I wasn't sure about this team and I placed them ninth, and by ninth I mean I placed them first.
Yeah.
I think they're a really strong team. Um, yeah, like a lot of the reasons Dan said. I think that the closest parallel for me with this team is like deep dive. Honestly, they both have junglers that are going to control the map. I think Misa's probably a little more monkey mode than Drew, for better or for
Mhm.
worse, and hopefully for better. Um, I think the difference though, and the reason why I put THD on top is that their early game, like Nikolai's question of how are they going to win with the worst mid lane in the league. I don't know. Give the worst mid lane in the league like 13 kills, and then we'll see. I think that their early game isn't really in question, and unlike deep dive, where I'm not 100% sure if they have that bridge that the damage flowing in past 30 minutes, like this team does. Like Man Butts is a champion and is proven to be able to right click very quickly and kill a lot of things with his right clicks and whatever else, his Ash ult, etc. And um, Limch is also really solid in the late game. He has a really wide champion pool. Can whip out the Mordekaiser,
Yeah.
can whip out Pantheon, can whip out tanks. Like he can really do anything. Um, I think even though there are some question marks, like potentially like the mid laner and the support, I think one Nikolai has like shown a lot of potential last season. That Syndra game still sticks in memory, where he kind of just like destroyed people and set up everything for Nathan to like press R on Kennen. Um, I think Shucklebeard is new, and that means he hasn't really been tested or had any time to improve yet. And once he's given that time, like I think this team can be a pretty well-oiled machine. Yeah, I think they're
All right.
just right now for me. They're the only ones that I don't have question marks on when it comes to can they play the game early, can they play the game past 30 minutes.
All
They're the
right.
only team that checks off both of those boxes, so they're the only first place team.
All right. Elena, can I have you throw the power rankings back up there really quickly? So, taking a look at this, we do have a question from our audience, from Misa. What is what? Where is it? There it is. What team would you guys consider to be the dark horse of the tournament? So basically, what I think you guys should do is take the bottom 5 teams, and what team do you guys think out of the bottom 5 could win this entire tournament?
Good boys.
My
Um,
dark horse is going to be Student Council.
Okay.
mm,
Why
I
do you think the student council map?
Same reason I listed earlier. They can definitely have a potential to for a PJ and Nick Me to work together and
Mm-hmm.
carry a game. PJ can get them up to that 35-minute point, and then we've seen time and time again, Nick Me once he gets that hits 3 items 4 M's, he can really take over games, put out consistent damage, and just end team fights like on the spot.
All right. Anybody else got a strong opinion?
Acid Rabbits, I have no clue how they're not in the top, like, at least 3, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. I think they're just gonna, like, run
Well,
house on everybody.
just to be clear, the reason why they're not top 3 is because you didn't put power rankings and nobody else has put them top 3.
We didn't let
I
him in
put
his
them number
defense.
1. I put them number 1.
I'm, I'm like
Oh,
a,
I'm sorry. Matt put
I'm
them
a,
number 1. I apologize.
Yeah, I put them number 4 in my defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a good team. I mean,
Okay.
Never bet against Jenny, you'll lose.
All right. You know what? Mine would also be AR because Ginny always proves me wrong.
Yeah.
But third time's a
It's the
charm.
Ginny factor.
Maybe I'll be proven right this time.
All right.
I'm gonna say Nutter Butter Scuttlers.
yeah,
Actually,
MBS baby.
I think.
Why do you think MBS?
Um, honestly, mid support
Okay.
look very scary, and if this team can steadily grow and improve, I think they
Mhm.
are a threat that
Yeah,
can
and
take a championship.
honestly, the blueprint's already in the works. It's already been laid out there, and all they have to do is follow it. They saw Zane on Second Breakfast be used in a more like utility focused fashion last season anyway. I think
Mm.
like there's a world where their bot lane just plays full playmaker, allow like Matthew to move around the map by having Zane put on Varus or something. He can just wave clear, just free up their playmakers to do things on the map and funnel a lot of gold into me. And as like a hard carry, I think those things are really possible. They have a lot of versatility there, and like maybe at the start of the season when they haven't fully put that stuff together, maybe they won't look so strong. But I think like PO, I mean, like if I had to pick two teams, I mean, hopefully, like obviously I'm biased with PO myself, but like if I had to take two teams that actually have like crazy ceiling that is yet to be touched and yet to be fully like understood and tapped into, I think it's PO and NBS.
All right.
So.
There we go. So that's going to do it for our preseason power rankings. Well, I'm sure we'll revisit this at some point, especially when, AR is crushing the league and we can pull up Steven's ninth place ranking of them. So we're going to move on. We're going to go to predictions next. These are going to be predictions for the upcoming week of games. So you can see we have GB versus SB, TSC versus MBB, XO versus PIO, AR versus THD, and DD versus NBS, which is coming up later tonight. But we're going to start, I believe, let's start with TSC and MBS, or MBB, I mean. Matt, why TSC?
Why TSC? So same reasons why I was saying back in the power rankings. Week one, I don't see MBB being as strong as they'll be in later weeks. So
Mhm.
I want to value the playmaking that I've seen off of Plobe and Nick Mead's individual play, and I think that should be enough to carry them for this game one. Going into later weeks, I could definitely start swapping, or especially if we start thinking about playoff potential.
Mhm.
But that's why I would initially give it over to TSC.
I'm a bit biased, so I'm going to disagree with you. But does anybody else, anybody else?
Let me step up in your defense, Colin. How about
Thanks,
that?
Daniel. I appreciate it.
I think honestly, MBB. How are you gonna pick ban them? Every single one of these players is known to have a pocket pick. You only get 3 bans at the start. They're gonna get their pocket picks. They're gonna get comfort, and Elena on comfort is gonna probably just destroy any bot lane right now. And Adam's been looking really, really scary in jungle as of late. And if he can be reined in from over aggressing, I think they'll easily take the win.
I'm about to say 2 words. I love you, Mayo, but top tiff.
That's more than 2 words.
I know. Before that, the 2 words are top tiff.
All right. Anybody else want to say anything about this matchup before we move on?
I don't know. Like, I voted MBB, but like TSC might have some of the carries like Plob and Nick, but they don't really have like a center part of the map. Like, I don't know if they can ever be enabled to hit the the power spike fantasies that they want to hit. MBB has that unlock. I honestly, one, I don't see Nick Mead going off against Elena, and two, like I see a world where Plobe, can beat Mayo in a face up, but I think with Adam potentially hovering him or just being on the map, I just don't know if they have an answer. And if they don't have an answer to Adam, then it might be over before it even really began.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's go to the next game, which is going to be Good Boys versus Second Breakfast. I'll take this one since I'm the outlier. If you guys see in the audience, you guys can see that there are blank squares for some. That's because we are on those teams or in that matchup, so we don't vote for the matchups that we're in. Unlike last season, where I would have easily won predictions.
I
If
don't know about
didn't have
that
to vote,
one.
if I didn't have to vote for my own team. No, I'm kidding.
Because I had more faith in you, Colin. My faith paid off. I don't know.
Okay. So I voted for the Good Boys in this game. And it's pretty simple. I think early on in the season, it's a little bit biased because I've heard a lot of good things out of one of their players because I work with that player. But I also think like early on in the season, good players tend to outshine teamwork because the teamwork hasn't necessarily been established, and the Good Boys have one of the best players in the league in Steven. Kurosaki Ace. So I think he has the ability and probably will absolutely take over this game. And so that is truly why I put my faith in this. I think I power ranked Second Breakfast above the Good Boys. I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah, you did.
And so like, but I viewed the power rankings as like not what we're gonna start with, but how we're gonna end the season. And so I think to start the season, I think the Good Boys have a pretty solid advantage going into this game.
You know,
Anybody
all I
want
have to
to-
say is, I'm glad Brian chose Second Breakfast. I'm glad Elena chose Second Breakfast. I'm glad, Adam, you chose Second Breakfast. I'm proving all wrong. All of you.
Brian, why did you choose Second
Forward to
Breakfast?
it. I mean, this is the closest matchup, I think of the week, or at least the
Mhm.
one I had to think about the most. I think it's kind of a toss-up. But on the other hand, and maybe after I say this, Steven is gonna take offense to it and just gonna run him over. But I think, even though I think Steven's favored in the matchup against Will, I think of all the top laners in the league, Will, like, to put it frankly, if you start shitting on him, he's gonna jerk it under tower and do nothing, and then he won't chain die to you. And the fact that he won't chain die to you means that I don't know if Steven can like get off on the map and just kill everything. Like he'll probably need to win this game. Um, so it's honestly like a big part of it. I think other than that though, like around the map elsewhere, I think SB has a lot of either like pushes or advantages in lane. Um, I just don't know if Steven can get the necessary foothold to get going. But if you can, I think it's game over. So, I think it's kind of a toss up, and I think it really revolves around like everything holding constant what happens in the top side of the map. I'm not sure.
All right. Moving on to our next game, we have the Nutter Butter Scudlers versus Deep Dive. We have one outlier in this game in this matchup, which is Adam. Adam, why you got MBS?
I think that like in this earlier game, I just I think Cincy and Nishant and Michael Mayan like are gonna be able to just like work through this first game. If this was later down the season, I'd probably be a little bit more hesitant. But I think currently I think they're just a better overall team right now. I'm hoping Zane, which is Fire Knight, can pull out over Puma. And like you were saying before, Zane learned how to work with their team with at a disadvantage. And they've already been through that process. So even if he's like, I think he's the weakest link in Nutter Butter Scuttlers, but he's been there before. He knows how to play through that. So I think that this might be just a little bit better for them. Um, j- but for this particular game, I would maybe change my opinion later. But for this game, I think they're gonna pull it out.
All right. Anybody want to stand up for Deep Dive here? I know they're the favorites according to us.
I just want to put it out there that Nishant hasn't played League in like a year and a half. So I think for the first game back against Diju, it's gonna be rough. That's all.
I
Okay.
think
I
mid
will
jungle
admit,
synergy too OP.
Being is pretty good at working with the jungler and just informing them what to do, where to be, while also playing his lane. So I feel like there can be value in that. I don't know how much they practice to get that going. So I feel like it will be a closer game. I went with DD, but I feel like it will be a closer game than everyone's expecting.
Okay. Cool. Next up, we're gonna have Executive Order versus Panic in Our Oceans, and once again, we have an outlier. This is actually a really interesting week for predictions, where in almost every single game, there's one outlier. So it made it really easy to pick who to throw to. So Matt, why are you going Executive Order?
Oh, there's a very easy answer for that one. I'm a big Cincy fanboy, not gonna lie.
Okay.
So I think it'll be right now where the teamwork synergy hasn't been developed and individual play will probably be more prominent in winning a game. I think that's where Cincy can actually take over and win this game specifically. I'm not sure how that'll go into the future, but Oryx is always a solid top laner. You can rely on him.
Mm.
Sopa has definitely learned a lot from last season, so I think he can help work with Javier and they can get something going. Uh, that way they can hold it together until since he can really take off.
All right. I do always believe in the captain, as I famously said last season. The captain is I believe. So we'll see if Javier can pull that one out. Anybody else want to say anything in defense of?
I think this matchup it was kind of a toss up for me. Like we said earlier, there's a Brian diff, and given a week that team's extra scary. They learn from their mistakes. But this is the beginning of the season, right?
Mm.
And but what convinced me that I chose the reason why I chose PIO over EXO is because the other day it was 3 a.m. and 3 out of 5 of his teammates were on discussing draft at 3 a.m. Okay, this is dedication right here.
Mm.
That's called
Yeah.
the degen mindset right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
That's what it's called.
Dang, did I
All
out
right.
myself?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
if we're gonna lose to this team, I think this week 1 is the spot that might happen in. I think mark my words. I guess take this to my grave. If we hit them in playoffs, no way.
All
I
right,
know
Captain Javier, he's calling you out, buddy.
I'm
All right,
You
expecting
got
Javi
this.
to solo kill you to get a
Yeah.
kill, first blood on Brian all over again.
Wait, one quick sec. Chat wants me to say Timmy is the most consistent top laner in the league, and you can take that to the bank.
That's absolutely true. I
Okay.
would agree with that. I chose PIO, but like I chose Aurochs to put the team on his back, and it's just seeing if Sopa and Javier can make it happen. I think that's really what it's about. I expect Aurochs carry this season.
Timmy's the most consistent top laner in the league. Did you not watch half the season last season?
I'm just reading
If
what
you
chat says,
saying.
bro.
if you average
There's 2
playoffs
halves.
with
There were definitely 2
regular
halves of that
season,
season. Yeah,
I guess
there's like, yeah,
Hey,
there's
but second half
dark
though.
Timmy and light Timmy. Those are 2 different types of Timmys there.
Look,
Hey man, when you see Oryx Godheart though, that pops off pretty hard.
All right. All right, we got our last matchup of the week, which is Acid Rabbits versus True Heart Destinies. We have 2 outliers this time, but since I've thrown to Matt a bunch, let's throw to Adam. Adam, why is Acid Rabbits going to beat True Heart Destiny?
I just don't know how you would say otherwise. Like I look at like Misa's great, Limch is great. Like that entire team, THD is pretty stacked. But like I think that Astro Rapids is just as stacked. It's like everyone just forgot that man puppet. It just doesn't dominate the jungle like pretty consistently. And then you have like the coordination of Ginny, and then you have Jack Limestone. Like the matching of Jack Limestone and man puppet with the aggression. If uh, Nathan and Jesse, the support in top lane, can match that, like what is TH gonna do? Like they're not gonna have time to even do anything. It's gonna take too long for Nikolai to like get into the game and then be pushed out of it. Really, the only hope is like maybe Misa follows up with that aggression, but I don't know. Like
Yeah,
mean,
I think you're saying the advantage for Acid Rabbits. The first person you brought up is Man Puppet in the jungle, except for he's going up against arguably the best jungler in the league for the last like 4 years.
I'm
So
saying in
like,
combination with
but it's
like
but you don't get to dominate the jungle when you're also facing against one of the best junglers in the league, if not the best jungler in the league.
Yeah.
And
But
so like,
I would offer though that Man Puppet has played with Ginny through a whole season right before
mhm,
this. And they were like, honestly, like even with Plobe on that team, I think the best player on that team was Ginny the entire season, and then Man Puppet was the second best player on that team the entire season. I think those two like having a carryover from last season into this season, that could be the thing that pushes them over the edge, right? Like it's not a 1v1 kind of game in jungle.
no,
Um,
it's
and I
absolutely
think
not.
Ginny can really sway it. Just
mhm.
Steven felt the pain of
I
Ginny and
felt the
Man
pain,
Puppet.
dude. She kept
Yeah,
debating
leaving
me,
up
man.
lane.
We
This is
all
why I
feel
put
the pain.
this
in
is
Ginny.
why I put her team last. She
Yeah.
kept debating me. I got ganked, and I'm like, man,
Oh.
you're too smart.
Yeah.
so it's not
And
because Steven thought about it; it's out of spite.
Yeah.
It's out of
That
spite.
makes sense. That
yeah,
makes sense for Steven's character though. Let's be real here.
and I would argue that even though I know like people have been putting like the echelon of the top ADCs with like Cincy and Jack Limestone in it, I'd argue that Jack Limestone is not even the best ADC in this game. Like I think Man Butts proved it last season. He like
Mhm.
ran over everybody, and I think he'll have a lot of space to run over people this season too. Maybe not with that dance in the bot lane, but um,
Alright.
I got
like a
some
lot of
faith
the
on.
I swear if I don't know if there's stats that we have for this, but I swear he had more solo kills than like every other ADC in this league combined, like last season. I swear to God.
All right.
We have stats for playoffs, not for the regular season,
All
unfortunately.
right. Moving on, we do have one question from Twitch chat to go over, which is it's pretty similar to the previous question, but it's slightly different. I kind of like the variance. So Adam asked, "Who's the most likely team to pull a DD and run through the losers bracket after inting the regular season?"
Oh, I'll have to think about
So
that.
see, there's a slight variance there, right? It's still like who's your dark horse, but it's also combined with who's going to int the regular season
It's-
and then win in playoffs.
It has to be XO, right? An executive order ends the entire
XO,
season.
if not Nutter Butter Scullers, if not Deep Dive.
Yeah. I think
That's just the
XO.
entire bottom half
that's
of our
too
power
many.
rankings there, Matt.
Well, the reason
I lean
being
more
is
towards Nutter Butter Scullers because I believe in me. And
Okay.
yeah, but like what we said before, Aurochs Godheart became Godheart after the mid part of the season. Like
Mhm.
this beginning
Playoff buff.
portion could be like just total garbo for them, but I think at the end of the day, they come back in playoffs if Javi, Cincy, and everyone just really like picks themselves up by their, uh, not to use this term, by their bootstraps. Ugh. But if they really dedicate the time to,
Mhm.
like the second half of the season, I think executive orders can do a miracle run. I take that to the bank.
All right. Anybody else got any takes? All right, I got one
You're
question
fun.
really quickly.
Sure.
What is your hottest take that you can give on the season? We're almost out of time here, but what's the hottest take that you can give on this season?
EXO makes top bracket in playoffs.
Ooh, okay.
Oh,
Okay. Anybody else want to throw themselves out there on the ledge?
THD just self implodes because of
Holy.
of jungle and mid lane not having the correct amount of synergy in the way they play.
I've seen that one before on Wikipedia. It's under Misa effect. Look it up.
Oh no, dude. He did it to
Sorry,
him.
Misa. I love you.
He did it to him.
Anybody else got any?
Not
Steven,
yet.
I know you got a spicy take. Come on.
Dude, this is the thing. Everyone expects PO to get really good, right? Given
Mhm.
time. But what if they start all right and then they plummet towards the end of the season? Why?
Mm.
Because everyone's tilted. No one wants to play League anymore, and it's just doomed.
The burnout.
The
Yeah,
burnout's
but-
real.
All right.
Exactly.
Wait, okay,
Yeah,
I got
okay.
one. Here's a hot take.
But it's unlikely.
All right, Matt. What's your hot take?
Hot take. Mooney like Luna pops off this season and just bodies all the other supports.
I would
believe
love to see it. I
Alright.
would need to see Mooney practice more.
Hey, Moonstone is pretty good. Seraphine's pretty good. Caster's on the come up.
Oh, that is true. Mooney is
Yeah.
a really good caster support.
My hot take this season is that 3 teams tie for first place, and we have to have a tiebreaker.
Oh god.
Ugh.
Which 3 teams?
That's my hot take.
Which 3 teams?
Nope, it's just 3 teams. Not gonna
Aw,
give names.
come on, that's no
3 teams.
fun.
All right, let's throw up the schedule for this upcoming week. Let's take
Did
a
I
look
get
at
to
it.
give a hot take?
Oh,
Mine's
did you not
easy.
give a hot take? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Give a
mine's
hot
easy.
take, Brian.
GB is gonna roll swap within 3 games.
GB is going to roll swap.
What do you
within 3
mean?
games.
We're gonna
What are
roll
you
swap the
talking
first
about,
game,
dude?
bro. Are you
Sorry,
serious?
maybe
Yeah.
within 1 game. Wait, within 0 games. This game,
Dude,
they're flying
it's
in.
been within negative games. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah,
Hey, when
that's
you said that, I'll beat Will and we'll just sit under his tower. Why do you think I didn't say anything? We already roll swapped. It's not gonna happen.
There we go. That's true. That's true. It'll be like the roll swap that I don't remember what the name of our team was. Goddamn. But like in what season 5? Yeah, not season 6, but season 5, where I swapped to support. That's where you're gonna go, Steven.
Oh, support main,
Oh,
baby.
yeah,
2 support players on my team. Let's bring a third.
Hey man, we've got 3 on my team. Let's do it.
All right, now let's throw up the schedule. Now that everybody's given their hot takes, so starting off tonight, in just like 3 minutes, we have NBS versus DD. That's going to be a good game. On Monday at 7 p.m., we have Executive Order versus Panic on Our Oceans. Tuesday, the Good Boys versus Second Breakfast. Thursday, it's the Student Council versus Milwaukee Bucks, baby. And Friday, wrapping up the week, we have True Heart Destiny versus Acid Rabbits. That is going to do it for our show this week. That's bubble tea time. So stay tuned to our Twitch to watch the opening game of season 7. Anybody got any closing remarks really fast?
Deep dive.
Milwaukee Bucks, baby.
Yeah, we're just gonna announce our team. Sure,
Yes,
Milwaukee
they're
Bucks,
not
baby.
even playing next. NBS versus Deep Dive is next. You have to cheer for the teams coming up.
Okay, let's be real
Oh,
though.
no.
NBS is
No.
like
I
the
mean,
cutest name in the league. I love that.
Does
I'm ready
NBS have a
for.
cheer?
I mean,
I mean, we
they've got
came up with it
sponsorship
last
money,
year.
man. They don't need a cheer.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, I tried last year. I brought him the candy on the stream. Like I was going
Apparently,
for it.
they didn't like that. That's why you're no longer on the team.
That's why I'm no longer on the team.
Oh,
I got cut.
goated.
Thank God for Milwaukee Bucks, baby. They picked me up. I'm Demonte. I'm rising from the ashes,
Yeah.
All right,
only
let's
to
see
get
it.
cut
You took
again for
you took a
Rioma.
veteran minimum salary there.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my god.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Peace out.
Bye.
Later.
Korean Hearts.